This is the $100 go-kart I built from scratch. Most go-karts cost hundreds, even thousands. So building one this cheap should be impossible. But somehow, it might actually work. Or go terribly wrong. We'll come back to that because we're just getting started. So I picked up some parts and somehow I crammed everything into my Miata. Then I got straight to work building the frame. But what I didn't mention is I've never worked with wood before to this scale. I literally have no idea what I'm doing. I've never even built a go-kart before. But not only that, I couldn't even figure out how to use a circular saw. But eventually I started to get the hang of it. Well, not quite. Well, I didn't cut it all the way through. But after about 30 minutes, I finally figured it out. But I need to be very careful because if I mess up even one cut, this thing's over budget. And everything was going perfectly until it wasn't. Looks like my saw has broken. I can't finish up this last piece of wood and I'm almost done. So I went ahead and picked up a brand new saw and I got straight back to work to building the frame and the pace started picking up. I got the main part of the frame done now, but I'm gonna add a bit more support beams because it's still a little bit flimsy. And this handsaw literally takes forever to cut all the way. Like this literally took me 30 minutes to do, and that's not even the worst part about it all. This board is literally like a millimeter too long. Like it is right there. It just doesn't want to go in. But this isn't nothing that a little bit of massaging won't fix. And with just a little bit more elbow grease, we did it. It took like an hour just for this middle piece. I just finished up the frame. It's really sturdy, but that was probably the easiest part of the entire go-kart because now I need to figure out how to add wheels, steering, add a seat, add brakes, and add power. But first, I'm just gonna start with the wheels because I have no idea what I am doing. It's now the next day, and I think I got everything I need to finish this go-kart. So I was gonna put the wheels on first, but that would be useless if I can't even sit on the go-kart. So I'm gonna figure out how to make a seat for this go-kart. To make the seat, I was just planning on putting two boards together and just call it a day. But because I'm on such a tight budget, I have to think a couple steps ahead because if I don't, then I'll be getting way over budget very quickly. So I had to get extremely creative on how this go-kart's actually gonna be planned out. And after thinking for way too long, I might have found something that'll actually make this possible. But you'll see what I'm talking about in the next couple steps. For now, I just have to finish up the seat. And I just have to add two support beams in the middle of the seat because in order for the steering to actually work on this go-kart, especially with such a tight budget, I have to sit much farther forward in order to be able to reach the steering, which will make more sense later. Then I just added one more piece in the back so my seat doesn't snap in half. But now we got ourselves a seat on the go-kart. It's my first time sitting in the seat. It's actually pretty comfortable. I still got no clue if I'm gonna get this go-kart to work or not. But we're getting closer. So now that I finished up the seat, I need to figure out how to make steering on this thing before I put the wheels on, because the steering system I'm using is a little bit different than most go-karts. Mostly because I only have $8 left for the steering system. Yeah, the budget's getting very tight, but I've got a plan. I'm gonna slide this bolt through here, down through that hole, and mount the wheels on each side. That'll act as a full steering column. Well, hopefully at least. The only problem is my drill bit isn't thick enough to actually get through the bolt, so off to the store. I got the new drill bit, let's see if this works. But I'm pretty sure I bought the wrong drill bit. It barely got through the wood, but eventually I made it work. And even with a bigger hole, the bolt started to go in, but it was still a nightmare. I literally forgot the hardware, then it got stuck, my tool couldn't handle it, and 30 minutes later, I finally pulled it out. We got it out. But I realized one thing as I tried putting the bolt back on. My hole was still way too small. And no matter how many times I tried using the drill bit, it still didn't work. So, looks like I'm going back to the store again. And at this point, I have gone to the store like 20 separate times. I just started getting very annoyed with how many problems this go-kart was giving me. And I had a bad feeling this was just the beginning. And then when I tried to use the drill bit, this happened. Whoa, why is it so powerful? That's deadly. Oh, that hurts. Eventually, it worked, and the bolt fit. I survived, and I only slightly dislocated my shoulder. But now, I had to do the same thing all over again. Wish me luck. Yes, more pain. Ow! Yes, it hit my knee. Oh, that hit my knee. Well, twice. Oh, my knee. Yes, I still had no clue what I was doing. But after about 12 more failures, we got it. We did it! Let's go! Was it worth all the scars? If this go-kart works, then maybe. So this is the game plan. I'm sitting down, driving. There's two wheels on this board, right? And I twist the board like this, and it it steers the whole go-kart. That's pretty cool. It actually works pretty well. All right, steering's in. Let's throw on the wheels and actually make this look like a go-kart. We're actually getting very close now, I think. No, why did it do that? For some reason, I thought this part would be easy, but even the wheels are giving me a headache. All right, bolt through the wheel, washer on the bottom, tighten it to the wood. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. No! I tried hand tightening, no luck. No, why is it coming out? Then I grabbed the impact, and still nothing. At this point, I had no idea what I was doing, so I did what any professional go-kart builder would do. I just smacked it with a hammer, and somehow that worked. Bolts tight, wheels on, and we're finally making progress. And the second wheel was way easier. Turns out using the hammer on purpose actually helped. And that's wheel 2 done. Both wheels are on. Finally. That's so nice. Oh no, I cracked the wood. Gonna act like I didn't. Check it out. We got ourselves some steering. Ah, finally. That took like 6 hours just for the steering, man. All right, let's throw some wheels on the back. After breaking about 1 million of the wheel brackets, I finally have our back wheel bolt axles finally in place. So let's test fit the wheels and see how this thing rolls. Check this out. I'm excited to get this thing going. Looks like all we gotta do now is add some power and some brakes. We got ourselves a go-kart. It's gonna be a lot harder than it sounds, but I'll give it my best. It's now day 3. All right, here's the plan. I'm using this drill as a motor. I'll then wrap it in duct tape, press it against the wheel, and if it spins, the go-kart should move. Time to get to work. I got no clue what I'm doing. Will this actually work? I have no idea. But this is the only plan I've got, and if it fails, I'm pretty much screwed. So after mounting up a board, wrapping the drill in duct tape, and after countless test fittings, I eventually used the entire roll of duct tape. But hey, it looks like it might work. I hit the trigger, and the cart didn't move. And I thought maybe the drill just wasn't strong enough. Now I'm completely lost. So I then tried another drill, and still nothing. This was my only idea for power, and now it's not even close to working. And I can't put a motor on this thing, because that's too expensive. I barely have any money left for the $100 budget. Why isn't this working, man? But I had an idea. What if I tried push starting this thing? And then I noticed something. I realized that the back wheel was rubbing against the frame. So I fixed it and tried again. Still didn't work. Then I saw the other wheel was hitting too. But for this side, I had to unbolt the entire bracket and move it, which is terrifying because these things snap way too easily. And sure enough, it cracked. No, it's cracking. But instead of making a new bracket like a normal person, I just put it all back together, and I just hope the wheel won't fall off mid-ride. Moment of truth. Here we go. Not quite. This was my only idea for power. I've already spent everything I could. No motor, no budget, and right now, this go-kart still doesn't move. Why isn't this working, man? And honestly, at this point, I felt like quitting. After all the work, all the fails, it still felt impossible. But then I had an idea. I had just a few bucks to spare, and I bought rubber bands, bungee cord, a few metal brackets, and somehow this might actually work. It was time to rebuild one last time. I added pressure to the wheel, locked everything down, and crossed my fingers. But it still didn't work. So I made one final adjustment. I moved the brackets around, added another one, and tightened up everything. This was it. I'm not going to give up now. Not after all of this. Hopefully, this thing works now. 3, 2, 1, go. I think we might have ourselves a working go-kart. Should we try to take it for a spin? Why not? Let's go. 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 I think it's safe to say we got ourselves a working go-kart. Woohoo! This is fun. We're rolling. Turn. Oh. Uh-oh. Looks like we ran into a bit of an issue. Yeah, that doesn't look right. I just ran over the wheel, to be honest. I think if I... There we go. we're fine. There's only one problem with this go-kart. It doesn't really have enough power to move me unless someone gives it a push or I find a good hill. So yeah, the go-kart is a little slow. But I built a working go-kart from scratch for under $100. And to be honest, that's kind of insane. But there were so many times I thought it wouldn't work. But I didn't quit. And sometimes you're just one more try away. So whatever you're building in life, a go-kart, a project, a business, just don't stop. Because you're probably a lot closer than you think. And if it doesn't go exactly how you planned, at least you actually tried and now you have a good story to tell.